Okay, hello everyone. Happy New Year, and welcome to the Thursday, January 8th, 2026 meeting of the Ann Arbor Historic District Commission. I am Chairperson David Rockland. The time is 7:01 p.m. This meeting is being held in person and electronically. Public comment can be made in person, on Zoom, or via telephone. To speak during any public comment opportunities, please call toll-free 877-853-5247 or 213-338-8477 and enter meeting ID 965-3669-9762. This information is also available on the published agenda, in the public notices section of the city website, and on the broadcast of this meeting on CTN Channel 16, AT&T Channel 99, and online at a2gov.org/watchctn. Here's an overview of the sequence of events for each hearing on the agenda. First, Planning Services staff will deliver their report, followed by a report from this month's Commissioner Review Committee. Then the applicant will provide their presentation and answer any questions from the commissioners. At that point, the hearing will be open for public comment. Following public comment, the commission will make a motion and discuss the application. Finally, the approval from a majority of commissioners present will be required for a certificate of appropriateness to be granted. We'll move on to roll call, and Mariana, will you please call the roll?
Yes. Commissioner Rockland.
I'm here.
Commissioner Kaplan is absent. Commissioner Calderon.
Here.
Commissioner Ross.
Present.
Commissioner Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Carter.
Here.
Commissioner Nisbet.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. That's great news. And now we'll move on to the agenda. And I'm wondering if there's any additions, deletions, or changes to tonight's agenda. Hearing and seeing no objection, the agenda is approved as presented. And now we'll go on to agenda item D, that's public comment. This is an opportunity for members of the public to speak to the Historic District Commission for up to 3 minutes about an issue that is not listed as a public hearing on tonight's agenda. To request to speak if listening by phone, press star 9. If you are video conferencing, use the raise hand button. And we don't have anyone approaching the podium here, and I'm not seeing anyone online, so we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, and that is unfinished business. And there is no unfinished business this meeting, so we'll go on to hearings, and we'll start with hearing F1, that's 808 West Washington Street. And please, may we have the staff report whenever you're ready.
Yes. All right. This is 808 West Washington Street. Might look a little bit familiar. Current photo because it is under construction with some changes that were approved by the Historic District Commission in March of last year. So this first appeared in city directories in 1900 as the home of a butcher, Wilhelm Seyfried. This house and its two neighbors to the west, 812 and 818, which were also built in 1900, are extremely similar in design, detailing, and fenestration pattern. 808 features a cut stone foundation, full-width front porch with non-original turn posts and ornate brackets, a steeply pitched roof with corner returns, 1/1 windows, and a first floor bump out on the rear near of the west elevation. So in March and April of 2024, the HDC approved an application for a new garage at the rear of the lot, which you'll see in some of the photos. Also a rear-facing attic gable window and an extended driveway off of West Washington Street. And then in March of 25, a 23-foot wide dormer on the south roof, and I think it's the east roof, a rear addition and a different garage with a second floor accessory dwelling unit were approved. So that's the construction that's ongoing. The site is located on the north side of West Washington Street between Mulholland and South 7th Streets. And tonight the applicant is seeking HDC approval to add a shed dormer on the west elevation and a basement egress window near the front of the house on the east elevation. So let's go through some photos first. This is the front elevation. Here are some of those houses that I talked about that are identical next to it. So you can see the row down the street. And then looking forward, so we are looking at a proposed dormer that's just about right here on the elevation. And then we are looking at a proposed egress window where this existing window is. And then this is all work that was approved last year, this dormer and this ADU garage in the rear yard, and then some paving here. Zoom in of that window, again, near the front of the house, which is why it's coming to the HDC tonight. Then here's the site plan. So right here on this east elevation, that's the proposed egress window, and then we'll look at the proposed dormer as well on the west side. So existing basement plan, you can see there's the existing window here. It'll be the same width, the proposed egress window in the same location. Nothing changing on the first floor. Nothing changing on the second floor. But then when we get to the roof, you can see this is where the dormer is going to be to have some extra headroom for these stairs here. All right, existing front elevation. This is without the proposed or the approved dormer and then also the proposed dormer. So this one on the right here is already approved in process of being built. We're looking at this much smaller one here on the west elevation. And then existing east. Again, this is already approved up top, but on the east elevation, what we're looking at is this proposed egress window. West elevation, and then here's that dormer with the two windows. Rear elevation, not much change, but you will be able to see at least a bit of that dormer. And then here are some photos from the applicant. So there are windows, 4 windows on, well, multiple windows around the house, and the applicant has explained that this is the best location because of mechanical equipment and stairs near the rear of the house. The front of the house is the only option suitable for egress, and this side of the lot is a little bit better for flooding and drainage reasons. But you can see existing windows, and this is about what it would look like with the window well and then the egress window. Some photos from the application. See, that's the location. Dormer would be up here. Back of the house. And then a little bit blurry, but just a more full picture of kind of the yard. This is where the approved ADU/garage is currently being constructed. All right, a few more things that I'll say. Let me just go back to a nice photo to look at for a moment. All right, so the egress window well is on the east elevation near the front of the house. It will be an aluminum clad wood window. The existing wood hopper window there is in this location measures 2 feet 6 inches wide, and the proposed egress window will match that width. The well will extend 3 foot from the building plane and will be 4 feet wide, and it will be wood. As I said, the egress window will make this basement habitable, and there are some conflicts that you can see in the plans, stairs, mechanical equipment, things like that. The proposed shed dormer on the west elevation will measure 8 feet 5 inches in width and 3 feet in height. It is set back roughly 9 feet from the front elevation, but the exact measurements aren't provided. The dormer is significantly below the gable peak of the historic roof. It's proposed to have 2 aluminum-clad wood awning windows on the dormer. The siding, fascia, soffit, and corner boards are proposed to be wood. And it appears that from the drawings that the roof on the dormer will be asphalt shingles, but that is not specified on the drawings. Staff believes that the size, design, and location of the proposed dormer on the west elevation are appropriate and meet the guidelines of the Secretary and Chairs, which I will go through in just a moment. And the new basement egress windows, in general, they're necessary to meet contemporary building codes, and though this proposed window will be close to the right-of-way, the materials and dimensions are appropriate, and the applicant has explained why other locations aren't viable. So before I let you talk, I'll just go through the standards and guidelines. From the Secretary of the Interior, 1, a property will be used as it was historically or be given a new use that requires minimal change to its distinctive materials, features, spaces, and spatial relationships. 2, the historic character of a property will be retained and preserved. The removal of historic materials or alteration of features and spaces that characterize a property will be avoided. 9, new additions, exterior alterations, or related new construction shall not destroy historic materials that characterize the property. The new work shall be differentiated from the old and shall be compatible with the massing, size, scale, and architectural features to protect the historic integrity of the property and its environment. And then 10, new additions and adjacent or related new construction will be undertaken in such a manner that, if removed in the future, the essential form and integrity of the historic property will be unimpaired. A few guidelines from the Secretary of the Interior. For building site, it is recommended to design new exterior additions to historic buildings or adjacent new construction, which is compatible with the historic character of the site. It's recommended to retain historic relationships between buildings, landscape features, and open space. Recommended to identify, retain, and preserve buildings and their features, as well as features of the site that are important in defining overall historic character. It's not recommended to introduce new construction onto the building site which is visually incompatible in terms of size, scale, and design, or which destroys the historic materials on the site. It's not recommended to remove or radically change buildings and their features or site features which are important in defining the overall historic character of the building site. For roofs, from the Secretary of the Interior, it's recommended to identify, retain, and preserve roofs and their functional and decorative features. Not recommended to change the configuration of a roof by adding new features such as dormers, windows, vents, or skylights so that the historic character is diminished. Not recommended to radically change, damage, or destroy roofs, which are important in defining overall historic character. It is recommended to design additions to roofs, such as residential, office, or storage spaces, when required by the new use so that they are inconspicuous from the public right-of-way and do not damage or obscure character-defining structures. For windows, it's recommended to design and install windows on rear or other non-character-defining elevations if required by the new use. It's also recommended to protect and maintain wood and architectural metals which comprise the window frame, sash muttons, and surrounds. Not recommended to introduce a new design that is incompatible with the historic character of the building. Health and safety, recommended to identify historic character-defining spaces, features, and finishes so that code-required work will not result in their damage or loss. Also recommended to comply with health and safety codes. Not recommended to alter, damage, or destroy character-defining spaces, features, or finishes when making modifications to a building to comply with safety codes. All right, just a couple more Ann Arbor Historic District design guidelines. For windows, appropriate to retain and maintain windows in good condition. Not appropriate to change the number, location, and size or glazing pattern of windows. For safety codes, it is appropriate to comply with barrier-free and safety codes in a manner that ensures the preservation of character-defining features. All right, that's all. Switched up the order a little bit tonight, so I already gave you my staff findings, and that's all I have for right now.
Thank you very much, Mariana. Next, we'll have the review committee report. And Commissioner Carter and myself are on the review committee. Do you want to give your report?
Sure. I mean, I think Mariana did a good overview of what we saw on site. One of the things that we did talk about with the architect was potentially that egress window could go on the west side. And that was brought up because the driveway is on that side. It's also being extended. And so it will bring more visibility to that new egress window. Something that we should talk about. Mariana did mention that there are some flooding, or not flooding, but water concerns. So there is, the slope does go toward the house. So again, something to consider. I think the other thing worth mentioning is that we did talk about the dormer, and in the drawings it's noted to match existing siding, but we talked about differentiating that. So, something else to talk about. Otherwise, I think, logistically, everything made sense. I don't know, Dave, if you had anything to add to that.
I agree with all of that and what's been said. Not much to add. I think most of us are really familiar with the site because we've seen it a couple times recently. But I think just the one thing to reiterate is that the neighbor has a very similar dormer that's being proposed, so you can really visualize it there. It's very similar for a similar reason. So that is all I wanted to add. Okay, so then let's move on to the applicant presentation. So will the applicant please come forward at this time? Please provide your name and address for the record, and you have 5 minutes to respond to what you've heard so far. Thank you.
My name is Chuck Boltman. I'm the architect. I live at 220 South Huron Street in Ypsilanti. For the record, the property owner and the contractor are on the call, the Zoom. If there's any questions that the property owner would be here, except that he lives in California. I really don't have anything to add to what's been presented. I just, if there's any questions, I'm here to answer them. We've been here before. This project has changed hands a few times. So thank you for putting up with that. But as far as the drawings did get submitted with a match existing trim spec because I forgot that you asked for it to be differentiated, and I just worked with the old drawings and converted them, and that neuron didn't fire. We would be happy to have the egress window on either side of the house, except that the east side of the house will, in fact, that window well would be more protected from stormwater. And if given the choice, I'll take that every day. But if this body feels compelled to have it on the west side, we can do that as well. Other than that, I'm just here to answer your questions.
Thank you very much, Chuck. Can you comment on what the material of the roof, proposed roof for the dormer is?
It's asphalt shingle.
Thank you very much.
Sorry about
Not a problem at all. Does anyone on the commission have a question for the applicant at this time? Yes.
And maybe it's also to colleagues here. So the dormer that was approved last year, the larger shed dormer, so the drawings, elevation drawings note that the cladding on that dormer will be wood to match existing, but is that not, was it worked out that it was going to be a different material?
That is a question on the table. That's what Chuck brought up. That's what Commissioner Carter brought up. And I think that during the discussion, after the motion, let's talk about that and see, or we could talk about it right now, actually. Do you happen to know if the motion was changed?
Yeah.
Or
I did look it up. The March 2025 motion was not changed.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I didn't watch the video, so I can't quite recall what the discussion was, but
Right.
it did not make it into the motion.
Interesting.
In,
Okay.
in March of 25. Does
Yeah.
it mean it won't make it tonight?
Right, but that motion is for the dormer that's being built right now, that's already
It's
been
been
approved.
approved.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. So tonight, we're just talking about the smaller
Right.
west elevation dormer.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to figure that out in the sense that if wood siding to match the existing was approved for the
Yeah.
dormer
Right.
here, the big dormer that's,
Yeah.
then it would kind of make sense to, yeah, but
Right.
just trying to figure that out.
Let's bring that back up
Okay.
during discussion, because it's a great point. And,
If I may,
yeah,
I'm happy to discuss it. My understanding, my memory from last year was that the trim would be differentiated, not the siding. We can revisit that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, how much difference is enough difference?
right. I mean, we would rely on you to propose something, and then we would approve it,
My memory from March is that we were discussing not matching the trim as the gesture and leaving the siding itself to match the existing.
Okay,
So let's start there.
right, okay, very good. I think we'll discuss that further, and we might actually have to, have you come back up for follow-up there. But in the meantime, are there other questions for the applicant?
Yeah,
Yes.
I have a question. Can you explain the difference in significance of stormwater from the west to east side?
There's a gentle cross slope from west to east where the house to the west is higher than the house at 808, and then the house to the east is slightly lower, so the grade is crossing. And so the stormwater on, I don't know the address of the house to the west, the stormwater on that house actually comes onto the property of 808. and so it's headed toward the house a little bit.
Got it. Okay.
And on the other way, it goes down to the driveway more cleanly. So there's just a little bit of exposure. It's not a lot, but it's some.
Great, yeah, thank you.
Great question, thank you. Okay, are there other questions for the applicant? All right, thank you, Chuck, appreciate it. Now we'll go to the public hearing for this item. We'll open the public hearing for 808 West Washington. And this is an opportunity for persons to speak for up to 3 minutes about this application. And I don't see anyone approaching the podium. We don't have anyone online. So very well, we'll close the public hearing. And I will ask if there's any commissioner who would like to make a motion on this item. Great.
I move that the commission issue a certificate of appropriateness for the application at 808 West Washington Street, a contributing property in the Old West Side Historic District, to construct an 8.5-foot wide dormer on the west elevation and construct a new egress window and well on the east elevation near the front of the house. The work is compatible in exterior design, arrangement, texture, material, and relationship to the rest of the building in the surrounding area, and meets the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation and guidelines for rehabilitating historic buildings, in particular standards 1, 2, 9, and 10, and the guidelines for building site, roofs, windows, and health and safety code, as well as the Ann Arbor Historic District design guidelines for windows and safety codes.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Ross. That was moved by Commissioner Ross, thank you, and seconded by Commissioner Smith. So now let's discuss, basically, I mean, this is, you know, we've got a dormer, we've got a egress well. Let's just start with the dormer. I think that definitely there's a question about the cladding, but in terms of like the massing of the dormer, the windows on the dormer, all of the other items, does anyone have any comments on that? Or we all, okay, think that it applies, the standards are applying there.
Yep.
I think that, to me, the standards are clear that it, you know, yes, a new construction on a historic building, you need to be compatible and you need to differentiate. And so we've always been, I think, consistent on if there's cladding, then the cladding should not match. But it seems like, I guess maybe we were okay with it, or we just didn't put in the motion. I don't know what happened in March. I did not, you know, it doesn't really matter what we said necessarily. I think it's what's in the motion and what's the documentation, and the documentation is clearly is clear about it. That being said, like in this case, you know, I want the dormer to disappear because it's a visible addition, and obviously it's going to disappear better if it matches exactly. That's not what the standards say, in my estimation, but obviously we, you know, we can approve whatever makes sense, even if the standards are not maybe making sense in this case, or maybe they are and we missed it. I don't know. But does anyone have anything to add there?
I guess I would say, you know, perhaps just the difference in terms of the materiality of the windows and the fact that they're casements.
Yeah.
Would kind of point to the fact that it's a new addition on the house.
Did you make that comment last year? Because that's like sounding familiar.
Maybe.
And yes, because that other dormer has those other types of
Right.
windows, and it's like, okay, yes, of course that's an addition, but
Right.
it can match because
Right. Or maybe there could be like a difference in
compatibility.
exposure
Yeah.
of the lap. I don't know. I mean,
well, there isn't though.
okay.
There isn't one proposed.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that would be. Sounds like Chuck wants to chime in. Yes,
Yes.
please.
Just so to be clear,
Yeah.
because the project has been protracted a little bit, all of the original windows have been restored, so they are wood,
Yep.
all of them.
Yep.
Great.
All of the new windows are matching Marvin windows, aluminum-clad wood
Aluminum
windows.
clad,
yeah.
So those are already distinguished.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that is helping. And maybe that was enough last time we saw this to say, okay, let's match. And I think that, yes, once you have one dormer up there that's looking a certain way, let's match it to that
Right.
dormer. Does that-
Right, yeah, 'cause
So
of the
basically what we're
cladding,
saying is,
yeah.
as proposed is kind of looking good to everyone in terms of the dormer. Is that what I'm hearing?
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, okay. So then, let's move on to the window well, and, I think that we've discussed it. Does anyone have any comments on that? I mean, I think that we heard from the applicant as to the reasoning why that is going to be the spot. Any comments there? No.
I would
Commissioner
just-
Nesbitt? Oh, yeah.
I would just add that, that slope comes from the northwest down Washington Street. It's a pretty considerable grade change. Like, I totally understand the request to put it on the east side, and it totally makes sense.
Yeah. And the east side actually has more stuff that's already happened there, like
Right.
the concrete's
Exactly.
there. So putting all the other kind of new stuff kind of over
Right.
there, it's more visible in a way because of the driveway, but maybe it's better because of the driveway also. So it seems like for a lot of reasons.
It's the more practical solution.
Yes. Very good. Okay, let's go to a vote then, unless, Commissioner Nisbet, did you have something? Okay, very good. Let's go to a vote. All those in favor of the motion, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed, say no. The motion carried. Your application has been approved. Thank you very much. Yeah. Yeah, let's hear what you, oh, yeah, okay.
That throw you off? Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
That was a mic drop moment. Now he's gonna,
I'm like, what's happening?
gotta do that and then leave. Very good. Thank you, Chuck. Okay, we will move on now. Not far away geographically, though, to F2. It's 113 8th Street. And please give us the staff report whenever you are ready, Mariana.
All right. So this is a big project, so it's going to be kind of a long one. This is 113 8th Street. It is a corner lot, so it's also 920 West Washington, which is a single-family house, and then we're looking right now at 113. Well, so 113 8th Street is this one on the left. It's known as Little Blue Preschool, and then 920 West Washington is this existing house on the corner on the right. They're on the same lot. Nothing is proposed to happen to that single-family house, but we will be looking and working around it. So, little history. The preschool is a one-story masonry building with a front gabled roof and clapboard siding. The address first appears in the 1919 city directory as William Frey's Grocery. The 1925 Sanborn map shows it as a clay building, but at some point the exterior was covered with a clapboard. On the Sanborn maps, it is shown as a rear rectangular building with a rear covered porch. And at some time after the period of significance, the rear porch was removed and a one-story addition was constructed at the rear. And this small addition is first shown on the 1993 aerials. There were historically no windows on 113 8th Street, and you'll see a 1990s photo in a little bit. But in 2001, the HDC approved plans to alter the structure into a preschool. And this included installing new windows, and based on the aerials at that same time, the area to the north of the building was paved. In 1998, just a little extra history, the HDC did approve the demolition of this building at 113 8th Street and construction of a new two-story residence in the same location, but those plans were never built. So here we are. All right, the site is located on the east side of 8th Street, south of Huron, and north of West Washington Street. And tonight, the applicant is seeking HDC approval to, 1, build a 480 square foot addition on the back of the existing preschool, and 2, construct a new single-family house on the same lot facing West Washington Street. And like I said, there's no work proposed at this existing single-family house on the corner, 920 West Washington. All right. Preschool. This is the pavement. Existing. Can see, so first we'll talk about a proposed addition at the rear. So right back here, again, all of this is pre-1945, just with some significant changes. And then this back here is a modern addition. This is looking at the south side of the preschool, and then I'll talk about this driveway will become the vehicular entrance for the new single-family house. So I'll try and keep it divided as much as possible to not confuse everybody. And then this is just looking at the area where the new single-family house will be, so it will be fronting Washington Street. Empty right now, has historically been empty. Vacant, I guess. And then where the new house will be, and then this right back here attached will be the new preschool addition. Just looking a little bit farther back. And then looking west. And then this is looking west from, I guess, 7th Street? Looking from 7th Street west. So this driveway, you can see back here, this is the existing house at 920 West Washington. So the new house will come to about here, and then right here where my mouse is where the little blue preschool is, and that's where the addition will be. All right, existing site, let's talk about the addition first. So this is the preschool up here. And then it's proposed to have a rectangular one-story addition at the rear connected to this modern addition at the rear that is already there. So here's the existing, and then zooming in at the rear of the building, this will be the new toddler room. Then here we are looking at the front elevation. Not much will be, we won't really be able to see anything from this side. Then here we are looking at the east elevation. This is that modern addition. And this is what the rear will look like of the new proposed addition. So again, one story, very simple, rectangular gable roof, some new windows. Here looking from the north elevation, so you can see it's lower than the gable on the front of the house or preschool. Zooming in on that, windows and door. I'll get some details to you when I get to my notes. And I'm looking from the south elevation, so nothing changing here, and then just adding this on the rear. And then zoomed in a few more details. Here are some of the applicant photos. And then just right back here to the left is where that addition will be. Then this is the 1990 survey photo. So you can see no windows at the front. The door opening was here by this point. Okay. Let's talk about the preschool before we get into the house. And then we'll get to our guidelines. Okay, this is a proposed modest addition on the back of the preschool for an infant room. Just as a side note, this project will require site plan approval from the City Planning Commission because of the commercial use on site. And it will also require an approved land division because the owner's intent is to split off the existing house at 920 West Washington. But the HDC does not regulate property boundaries, just a kind of idea of where this project would be going after HDC. There have been substantial changes to the building, though it is still a contributing structure to the district. The roof was previously a shed sloping from front to back, which is typical of neighborhood commercial buildings of this age. The owner states that in the attic, the old roof is still visible beneath the new gabled roof structure. The building has also been re-sided, presumably at the time the roof was modified. And in 2001, the preschool added windows facing 8th Street and then the small addition at the rear. So the proposed preschool addition is roughly 480 square feet. This part of the site is used currently as an outdoor play area. See if we can see it in some of the photos. Make it a little bit more visual. The pre-1945 footprint and floor area, because it's one story, is approximately 932 square feet. The total post-1944 footprint/floor area is approximately 600 square feet. So that's that earlier addition at the rear, and then the proposed 480 square foot addition. This constitutes a roughly 64% increase, which is larger than the 50%. So staff notes that this is a little bit different than the calculations in the drawings because the applicant included that 120 square foot addition in the pre-1945 footprint/floor area. But since this is a commercial building that has undergone many changes, and since the addition is appropriately lower and separate from the historic part of the building, staff is not concerned about this increased footprint/floor area. The addition will be attached behind an even smaller rear modern addition, so no historic materials will be impacted. The design is simple with the gable roof and windows that are compatible with the rest of the building. Siding is 4-inch wood shiplap. Gutters and downspouts are proposed on the north and south sides. The roof will feature composite shingles, and the peak of the addition's gable will be above that existing modern addition, but below the peak of the historic part of that building. Neither the addition nor the rest of the building has eave overhangs. Windows are aluminum clad wood. The windows on the south and east elevations will be double hung. The applicant is proposing wood muntins applied only to the outside. Though not preferred, staff thinks that this is acceptable in this case since there were historically no windows on the building and since these will not be visible from the right-of-way. The windows on the north elevation will be fixed, and a person door by Anderson is a commercial outswing door with a window, and trim will be wood. Staff believes that this is an appropriate design, location, and scale for an addition, and though there is the existing paved area to the north, so that does give it a little bit more sight, the addition will overall be minimally visible from the right-of-way, and there will be no impact on historic materials. All right, now I'm going to move on to the new house. So one moment while I flip through. All right, here we are. So existing, nothing here, and then proposed new single-family house. Basement level. First floor. So there is an attached garage at the rear. It will be 2 stories, but this dining room bump out is 1 story, and then patio, and then the driveway that goes out to 8th Street. This is the 2nd story, so you can see just the roof deck over that 1-story portion, and then the rest of it is this 2-story, including over the garage. And here is our elevation. So side gable roof, you have the chimney, you have this 1-story bump out with a roof deck above, you have the windows, the door with a covered portico with a rounded columns, with a deck above that, shutters on the windows, you have your gutters and downspouts, and then this little bay window too on the east. All right, proposed east elevation. So you can see we have that chimney and the portico, have this 2-story portion of the house, a little bit lower 2-story above the garage. Lists of different roof lines, but these roof lines won't be visible from West Washington Street because they're all lower than this front gable. And then a lot going on west elevation. So garage doors back here. You have that studio space above the garage. Again, some roof lines. You have a patio right here that's kind of hidden behind this 1-story bump out that has the dining room, roof deck above that. You have this front side gable, chimney on this side, and then that front portico. And then from the rear, so this is looking south, you have garage, some dormers, roof line, that big side gable at the front of the house, bump out, chimney, and then a patio would be here, and then the driveway. Might help to look at some renderings, some perspectives. And then I'll just stop here while I add some flair from the staff report. Okay, so this is a proposed 2-story residence with a side gable roof. The front elevation is approximately 32 feet wide, and the overall house is 74 feet long because it has that attached garage at the rear. The house is 30 feet and 6 inches in height at the ridge, and just under 25 feet at the midpoint of the gable, which is the measurement that is used by zoning for building height. As I mentioned, there's that covered front entrance portico with the rounded columns. There are concrete steps with a simple steel handrail that lead to the front door. There is a chimney that has a stone veneer on the west side of the house. There's that one-story bump out on the west elevation that has the roof deck above it. It is set back approximately 9 feet from the front of the house, so you can kind of see that perspective here from this angle. And behind it is that paved patio. There are, different roof lines, gables, and shed dormers that are all lower than the main side gable roof that are various roof lines towards the rear of the house. And these lower portions of the house are also set in from the side elevation, so they're not visible from the street. So this is a good idea of what you will be looking at from the street with that 2-story side gable, and then you will be able to see that 1-story bump out to the west. The proposed siding is mostly wood shiplap siding with various exposures. There will be some stone veneer like on the chimney and the foundation, and some wood paneling, which is on that western 1-story portion. Windows throughout will be vinyl-clad wood double-hung windows, and there will be that bay window on the east elevation near the front of the house. The windows on the western elevation, on the western 1-story portion, will also have transom windows, and then there will be wood panel shutters on the front elevation windows. The submitted drawings do note that the muntins will be either interior only or between the glass, but because the windows are a major design feature and so visible on this one, staff does think the muntins should be applied on both the interior and exterior with spacers between them, as is appropriate in historic districts, so there is a condition included in the motion. Material and dimensions for trim are not specified, but wood or composite would be appropriate. Generally throughout, the doors will be wood-clad half-light doors, and that front door will also have side lights and light fixtures, as you can see. The doors on the west elevation that lead to that 2nd-story deck over the 1-story dining room will be 15 light wood double doors. Throughout, the roof will be composite shingle roofing, except for over the bay window, where it will be standing seam metal roofing. There is an existing curb cut and gravel driveway. Let me go back so you can see. So this right here, there's an existing curb cut and gravel driveway here that kind of goes back towards where the preschool is. This is proposed to be extended and paved, and that will become the main vehicular entrance for the new house. It will be 10 feet wide and then will widen to match the width of the 2 garage doors. The garage doors will be steel paneled overhead doors with a trellis above, and the new paving will not directly abut the historic preschool building. All right, those are my details. Then I'll add a few other things, maybe more than a few. The Historic District Commission tonight must determine whether the proposed new house is compatible with the adjacent historic structures and the surrounding neighborhood. This includes considering the size of the building, massing, height, width, placement on the lot, design, materials, and texture. There is a definition of texture that's included in the staff report, but I won't read it aloud for you right now. Couple notes about placement on the site. The front facade facing West Washington is set back 19 feet and 2 inches from the back of the sidewalk. This distance is compatible with the existing house on the corner, that 920 West Washington. It is about 10 feet farther back than the house next door to the east. I can go to some pictures later if you'd like. That house to the east is very close to the sidewalk and will also block most of the view of the east elevation of this proposed house. The front door that has a traditional covered portico and several steps up from the sidewalk, and there is a substantial bank along the West Washington frontage that can be seen in photographs. The proposed 32-foot width is appropriate for the lot and compatible with neighboring houses. At 30 feet, 6 inches tall, the house is a true 2 stories, which will be taller than most of the houses in the immediate vicinity, which are mostly 1.5 or 1 3/4 stories. But staff feels that 2 stories is a reasonable height and not out of scale with the district. The house is longer north-south than most of the houses in the district because of that attached garage at the rear, but generally this is not visible and will not impact the feel from the street. The design of the house is not identical to any of the houses in the immediate vicinity. It is appropriate for new construction to be discernible from the surrounding buildings. The proposed house is compatible in scale and rhythm of the whole West Side Historic District and features many typical characteristics, such as those stairs leading to the covered front entrance, a regular fenestration pattern, and the wood shutters. None of the houses in the immediate vicinity have a side gable roof. Most have front-facing gables or gambrel roofs, but a side gable is not unusual in the district. In general, staff feels that the design leans closer to the colonial revival style than most of the other houses in the district, but this is generally in keeping with the time period and does make the new construction discernible from the contributing buildings. Staff does believe that the new building design, scale, and materials are compatible with the surrounding historic district, and the proposed work with that window condition meets the standards and guidelines used by the Historic District Commission. Okay, I promise I'm almost done. I'm just going to go through a few guidelines. We did, luckily, already read 1, 9, and 10, so I can skip those. But also from the Secretary of the Interior guidelines for building site, it is recommended to design new exterior additions to historic buildings or adjacent new construction which is compatible with the historic character of the site. It's recommended to retain the historic relationship between buildings, landscape features, and open space. It's not recommended to introduce new construction onto the site which is incompatible in terms of size, scale, design, materials, color, and texture. Not recommended to create a false historical appearance because the replace feature is based on insufficient historical, pictorial, or physical documentation, or introducing a new building or site feature that is out of scale or otherwise inappropriate design. Not recommended to introduce new construction in historic districts that's visually incompatible or that destroys historic relationships with the setting. For new additions, it's recommended to construct a new addition so that there is the least possible loss of historic materials and so that character-defining features are not obscured, damaged, or destroyed. Recommended to design new additions in a manner that makes clear what is historic and what is new, and what is, New additions recommended to locate an attached exterior addition at the rear or on an inconspicuous side of a historic building and limit its size and scale in relationship to the historic building. New additions recommended to consider the attached exterior addition both in terms of the new use and the appearance of other buildings in the district or neighborhood. Not recommended to attach a new addition so character-defining features are obscured. Not recommended to design an addition that is out of scale and proportion in relationship to the historic building. From the Ann Arbor Historic District Design Guidelines, for all new construction, it's appropriate to retain the historic relationship between buildings, landscape features, and open space. Also appropriate to design new features so that they are compatible with the historic character of the site, district, and neighborhood. Appropriate to base the site location of new buildings on existing district setbacks, orientation, spacing, and distance between adjacent buildings. Appropriate to design new buildings to be compatible with but discernible from surrounding buildings that contribute to the character of the district. Appropriate to design new sidewalks, entrances, steps, porches, and canopies to be consistent with the historic rhythm established in the district. Not appropriate to introduce any new building that is out of scale or otherwise inappropriate to the setting's historic character. Not appropriate to introduce a new feature that is visually incompatible. Not appropriate to introduce new construction which is visually incompatible in terms of size, scale, design, materials, and texture, or which destroys relationships on the site or district. Guidelines for all additions: appropriate to limit the size and scale of an addition in relationship to the historic building so that it does not diminish or visually overpower the building or the district. The addition's footprint should not exceed 1/2 of the original building's footprint or 1/2 of the original building's total floor area. And that is it. Thank you. Let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you very much, Mariana. Next, we'll have the Review Committee report. Commissioner Carter?
Sure. I think Mariana did a good job of explaining everything again, of course. In terms of the preschool, that one seems much more straightforward. It's in the back. It's onto another addition. The new house, I think the setback, looking at it on site, does feel appropriate. You really won't see it. That house on the east is going to cover a lot of that, and it's really in line with the house to the west. In speaking with the architect, I believe there is planned to be some landscape that serve as a visual buffer to looking to that new preschool addition from Washington Street. In terms of materials, that new proposed driveway will be asphalt, and I believe the patio is planned to be a bluestone or flagstone of some sort, so varying in material on the ground plane. I think that's all I had. Commissioner Buckland, you have anything to add?
Yeah, I'll just reiterate some things. I mean, obviously, just the site is big, like just this whole corner of the lot, or of the block, it's just large. It's also on Washington set up quite a ways. So it's very big, and it's empty right now, so it looks even probably bigger, to my eyes. I counted, it's like 9 steps, maybe 10 from the sidewalk up to the front porch or into the door maybe. So that's like well higher than I'd say most, Old West Side homes, which, maybe you get, 4 steps or something like that. So it really is up there, which, yeah, I think helps a bigger house because it's like feels further back, or because it's like higher. It'll maybe feel further away from the sidewalk. And I'm saying this because the house is, to me at least, big, relative to Old West Side homes, mostly because of the garage, which is also big relative to most Old West Side homes. So that's how I'm viewing it, is like, okay, how is this maybe larger than average? I don't even see a square footage for the house. I think there's a footprint square footage, but anyway, how does this house kind of fit in? So that's what's going through my mind. The house right next to it, we've discussed that a lot. That is quite close to the sidewalk, and so we can kind of discuss the siting, of the new house, and the decision was made to push it back from the sidewalk, and that will obscure the east elevation of the house. But then when you're looking at it, from the west, that other house is going to be like in the front. It's going to look like it's kind of in the front yard, in a way. They had to they had to do one or the other, or split the difference or something. But that's what they've done. So that's something to consider. And let me just look at my notes here. Something that I think is really nice is that they're using the existing driveway that's on 8th Street. So if you can imagine, if they would have, which they could have decided, let's do a new curb cut on Washington for this new house, and that would have really, literally cut into this kind of bluff, or it's not a bluff, but like the sidewalk, the grass goes up, and it's really nice that they didn't have to do that, because when you're walking on Washington now, you'll just have this nice experience of a couple houses, and without the driveway that would have been probably quite difficult to, it would have been either very steep, or either way it would have definitely messed with the experience. So I think that was really smart. And so still on the house, just something to think about. It's been mentioned before. It was in the drawings. It's quite clear, but it's that there's this one-story dining room that juts out. So it makes the house look quite wide, but also it hides all of the garage stuff in the back. So I think it kind of is helping, probably because it's only one story. So like the width is just one story, and it hides things. So trying to visualize that as well online or on site. The renderings don't have like the view from the sidewalk in mind. They're helpful to get the idea of what the house is going to look like, but the front rendering kind of, it would have been nice if it was like from the sidewalk looking up at the house, so you could really get that feel, or maybe include the neighbor's house, or more of the site. We'll just have to visualize that. And then the other rendering is, again, it's not from a public right-of-way view, but it still helps get the visual in your head. And I don't have much to review committee stuff on the preschool. In a way that's just sort of feels like it's always been there. It's right up at the sidewalk, but it just, I guess since it's always been there, it just kind of, it draws your eye, but it feels like it fits also in a way. But I guess to talk about that, there's not much to talk about because the addition is not really going to be so visible. I think that's the main thing there. Okay. So now we will move on to the applicant presentation. So do we have the applicant? I know there's applicants here on site or in the room. Do we have other applicants on Zoom? Do we need to promote them?
Yes, I'll promote the architect.
Great. So whoever's going to speak for the applicant, please provide your name and address for the record. You have 5 minutes to speak about your application and respond to the comments and questions that you've heard so far. Looks like it's going to be the architect, or?
She's due to.
Great.
I can probably answer a lot of them.
Very good. Thank you both.
Grace, if you're there, you should be able to unmute and turn your video on, and then we'll be able to see and hear you.
Something's happening. Grace, can you hear us? Hi, Grace, we cannot hear you at the moment. Can you hear us? Okay. It seems like Grace can hear us,
Looks like
but we can't hear
she's
her.
unmuted. I might need.
She's unmuted. Give us a second, Grace. It looks like you're unmuted on our end here, but we're trying to figure out why we can't hear you. We can see you, though, so if you can just pantomime the entire presentation, we'll be fine.
Earlier.
All right, Grace, hold on one second. We're just going to get someone to help with the technical difficulties. Hold tight. Thank you.
Oh, Rob.
Might have to call in or something.
Looks like everything's been on our end.
Okay. Should we have Grace call?
Yeah.
Would that?
That might be easy.
Okay. If you have the agenda, the number is there, but I will read it in the meantime. It's 877-853-5247. And then will she have to enter the meeting ID or? Okay. Okay, looks like she's, yes.
It is a lot of numbers.
Yeah.
All right, I see a phone number, so I am going to allow to talk.
All right, looks like we're making progress here on your phone call, Grace, so hold tight. Yeah.
You're gonna need to unmute on the phone. I can
Oh,
see you
star
in
9?
here. Yes. it
Press
is
star 9 on your phone to unmute. That's so silly, star. Like, I wouldn't even know where to find that. I assume it's in the pad, but yeah.
Oh, that raised his hand.
Oh, that's raising hand. Is it star 6, maybe? Why would she be muted, though, when she... This has got to be something on our end.
Well, I've given you permission to talk, Grace. And if I click ask to unmute, does that say anything to you on the phone? Oh, good.
Oh,
Can you hear me
fantastic.
now?
Yes, we can hear you. That's so exciting. Thank you, Grace. Welcome to the meeting. We've
Good
got you
evening,
now.
everyone.
Yes, to you too. Do you need a second to prepare? Are you okay to give us your your report now? Yeah.
Yes, I'm good.
Okay,
I
good.
do not have very much to add, but thank you, Mariana, for the very thorough report and description. I think you covered just about everything. The owners are present at the meeting. We are all available to answer any questions that you may have. We did speak about the condition in the report, and that is not an issue. So we will incorporate that, of course.
Great. Just some quick kind of questions, just like clarification question. The report mentions shiplap siding, and in my thinking of shiplap siding, that's like siding that's like in a flat plane that has like a groove in it. And is that what you intended, or does shiplap siding for you mean like what I think of as, there's a bunch of words for it, but I call it clapboard siding, where like one piece lays on the
clapboard
other
siding,
one?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so everywhere it says
Similar to what
shiplap,
you saw
that's,
in the, similar to what is existing
yes.
in the preschool.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for the house as well, where it says shiplap siding, it's like the overlapping siding?
That's correct.
Okay, all right.
That's correct.
Very good. Let me see here. Okay, so we probably have some questions for you, Grace, so hold on one second.
Sure.
I think that just in some general questions I have is if you could please, just for a moment, talk about, I'm going to ask about the house. So in the staff report, they said it's like maybe its look looks like possibly a colonial revival or something like that. So if you could kind of talk about the design decisions you made in terms of like historically, like why it looks a certain way. And I would also like to hear like why you cited it where you put it. You know, if it could have been maybe further to the sidewalk or further back or something like that. And just
Sure.
in general, how your design is compatible with the neighborhood context.
Sure. Stylistically, that really mainly came from the owner. She was envisioning a colonial style home, and we, through this process, worked to incorporate as many elements of this particular style that she had envisioned. So as far as, and we felt that this would be a nice addition to the area. It wouldn't stand out too much, yet be differentiated as a new building. As far as siting the house, our intent was to maximize the ground floor area as much as possible, and that kind of determined the orientation because the site is deep and we could take advantage of that. So, we wanted to maximize the floor area, the ground floor area, because we wanted to make it more universally friendly for her. As Robert and Trish age they would prefer to stay on the ground floor. So that was our thinking. And as far as utilizing the existing curb cut and driveway, that was basically a no-brainer. And so it's just the program kind of fell into place using these parameters. So that was what we were trying to achieve. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you, Grace.
Okay.
Appreciate that. And I'm wondering if there are other questions from the commission here that we could ask. But it doesn't look like we do at the moment, which is great. So just hold tight. We're going to do some logistics here, and we might get back to you. So thank you.
Sure.
Yes. Okay, so now we will move on to the public hearing. So we'll open the public hearing for 113 8th Street, that's F2. This is an opportunity for persons to speak for up to 3 minutes about this application. Don't see anyone here, and we don't have anyone online, so that's great. We
I
can
do
close.
have a hand raised, so
Oh.
I'm going to.
Can I address a couple things, please?
Absolutely. Well, just one sec, though. Or was that the hand raise that you were talking about?
No, I have
Yeah,
a hand raised.
Okay,
so.
well, we might have someone calling
Mark
in.
Higgins, you can now address the commission for up to 3 minutes.
Hey, can you hear me?
We can.
Yes, we can.
Great. Looks like you can't see me, but I guess that's not necessarily important.
No, that's fine, but just please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak.
Yeah, my name's Mark Higgins. I'm actually the owner of 808 West Washington Street.
Oh, yeah.
And I, appreciate you guys hearing about our project. And I just thought I stayed on the call because I thought it was an interesting coincidence that we're hoping to send our kids to this daycare. So
Oh, that's fantastic.
not necessarily relevant for your guys' decision, but just kind of a cool coincidence, and I guess maybe speaks to the community, and yeah. So that's it.
Thank you very much, Mark. Appreciate your chiming in. Thank you. Okay, and now we'll move on. It sounded like we're actually taking one step back to applicant presentation, which is fine. And do you want to say a few words about the application?
Well, can we just close the public hearing so that we
Yeah,
can
let's close the public hearing first, though.
make sure we.
That's closed. Great. Right, because you're not, sorry, I was calling you back. I'm so sorry. Yeah, just getting you some exercise in here this evening. Let's continue the applicant presentation. State your name and address for record, please.
Robert Cantillon.
Yeah.
509 Pauline.
Thank you.
Trish and I own the property. The comment about the height of, when you're standing there and you're looking east toward downtown.
Yeah.
If you're standing right in front of the house, the hills probably at that point hit about this height right here. I think everything is kind of accentuated in height right there because you've got that tall hedge, and there's this gumpy old tree there right on the corner of the lot line. It just kind of goes straight up. So everything in front of you is kind of like right up at you. But if you're an actual walker walking east toward downtown, at the corner of 8th and Washington, you're about like this, and then by the time you get down to the house, you've dropped about this much. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of the dip in the road happens that second half of the block toward 7th. Mm-hmm. If I'm coming up west from 7th, I don't even really notice the house is there, and probably until I get like right to the approximately 35, 40 feet from the edge of the house, and I'm then in front of the neighbor's house, so I don't even really see it there. Putting the house where it is was really a no-brainer because, who wants to have a driveway on Washington Street? Mm-hmm. It's like, my gosh. And so if that becomes a given, that you really want to hold Washington Street as open as possible for easy traffic, and just the feel of it, you wouldn't really want to put the house in the center of the lot, because now what have I got? I've got a useless section over here on the east side of the house, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be not livable.
Right.
And one of the things that we've always done on that lot is really live there, living in the yard, the kids in the preschool in the yard. I mean, it's a center of activity, and it just seemed like it really needed to be over there. And yeah, when you're walking east toward downtown and you come from 8th and you start to crest, you will see, you'd almost think there might be another, the way the drawings depict it, like there's a street in front of it or something, because so much of it kind of is in your face. Those hedges get pretty leafy and they grow up, and somewhere down the road probably would put some kind of evergreen trees there maybe, or something, just to kind of soften that. But I don't know whether that's something that you get into or planning gets into. But there does need to be something there that's not visual, just kind of looking east at the house. It's like, it's so plain the way it is, and it just won't be plain in effect when we're there. Whether there's hopefully not a fence there, but maybe something green.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
And as far as the size of the house goes, the house is 2,400 square feet.
Okay.
The house at 920 is 1,400 square feet. And it is really one of the smaller little houses on the Old West Side. I mean, it's pretty typical. All the houses down 8th are about that size, but that's like the smallest area. It's almost like a little pocket of, back in the day, the real working folks. But if you look at the back of the house, which you can still see looking north toward Huron, all those houses on Huron are like, oh my gosh.
Is that 2,400 square feet, including the garage and the studio above it?
No, that's
Yep. Right.
2 floors.
Yep, got
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Yeah, anyway.
Okay, thank you for those comments, appreciate it, absolutely. Okay, we're going to move on here. We've done the public hearing, and we're moving to asking a commissioner to make a motion on this item. Does anyone have that in front of them? No one down there, actually. Do you have that? Happen to have it? Thank you.
I move that the commission issue a certificate of appropriateness for the application at 113 8th Street, a lot with 2 contributing structures on the Old West Side Historic District, to construct a single-story rear addition. The work as proposed is compatible in exterior design, arrangement, texture, material, and relationship to the surrounding area, and meets the Ann Arbor Historic District design guidelines for all additions, and the Secretary of Interior's standards for rehabilitation and guidelines for rehabilitating historic buildings, in particular standards 1, 9, and 10, and the guidelines for building site, district, neighborhood, and new additions. We need to make the second one at the same time.
Sorry, there's 2 motions, so let's just deal with them separately?
Yeah.
Second.
Great, so that was moved by Commissioner Carter and seconded by Commissioner Calderon. Very good. Okay, so let's discuss. So that was for the preschool?
For the preschool.
Great. So I guess I imagine there won't be much discussion here, but I want to ask if anyone is concerned about the proposed being, past that 50% standard. I think, staff made a good argument, but I'm just wondering if anyone wants to speak out on that one. Basically, it's not meeting the standards, but since the structure itself has been significantly changed, and it has that hyphen, and the lot is really big. It seems like for all those reasons, it's sort of allowable in this instance. Again, because of the hyphen, it just, that separation, it seems to make these these applications, quite straightforward, where there's almost no historic material being modified. So, any comments there? Let's just go to a vote then. So this is for the preschool motion. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed, say no. Okay, so that portion of the application has been approved. And now, can you make another motion,
Yes,
please?
absolutely.
Thank you.
I move that the commission issue a certificate of appropriateness for the application at 113 8th Street, a lot with 2 contributing structures in the Old West Side Historic District, to construct a 2-story house with an attached garage and pave a new driveway on the following condition: that all windows with divided lights use muntins applied to the exterior and interior of the glass, and a corresponding spacer between the glass. The work as conditioned is compatible in exterior design, arrangement, texture, material, and relationship to the surrounding area, and meets the Ann Arbor Historic District design guidelines for all new construction, and the Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation and guidelines for rehabilitating historic buildings, in particular standards 9 and 10, and the guidelines for building site and district neighborhood.
Second.
Great, that was moved by Commissioner Carter and seconded by Commissioner Nesbitt. So we've talked a little bit on this portion of the application already, but I wonder, if someone wants to start kind of with the discussion here. Are you feeling, it's not often that we get the opportunity to build a new house in any of our historic districts. So, it's a really great opportunity, but obviously, it has to follow the standards just like anything else. So, how's the commission? This is a critical moment here for us. How's the commission feeling on this? Does someone want to chime in with?
I'll start the ball rolling.
Sure.
A couple of thoughts is, the colonial style that's been presented and proposed. Like, I can't think of any place else we've got anything similar to that in that neighborhood. The scale of that house is, at 2,400 feet. That's a big house for the Old West Side. I think being out on Huron is a little different. That was a different thoroughfare. It had a different history to it. But, I think I can live with the size, but I look at the way that lot is laid out, and it's almost completely impervious, with a 2-car garage and a paved driveway, and, there is a lot of impervious surface there. And, given the nature of that water flowing down the hill, down towards the YMCA, that's, you wonder, is that something that it's way more built out on the lot than anything else that I can think of in the Old West Side. And I've spent a lot of time knocking doors and walking that neighborhood. So, I have a little bit of concern about that. Generally, I'm all for, housing. But, at the same time, we do have to follow this guideline. I can live with the fact that, this is a distinctively different architectural style. It differentiates this as new construction that is not from the period of significance. But I am concerned, 2-car attached garage, totally building out that lot. And the last point that I'll make is, I don't know if you all own that house on the corner of 8th and Washington as well,
Yeah.
but the parking for that house goes away when that becomes a driveway, which, I don't think is the end of the world, but that is a congested area. I've been up there almost every day for the last 4.5 years, and, pushing that out there, it's not a deal breaker for me, certainly, but, it's just something that I wonder how all that fits together. And I don't have great answers. I am inclined to support the project, but I do have considerable concerns about the amount of impervious surface being kind of incompatible with the pattern of the Old West Side.
Great comments, thank you. Does anyone want to either respond, or if no one's ready to respond to those comments, it'd be nice to hear, how anyone else on the commission is feeling. Commissioner Ross, what are your thoughts?
And I apologize, I was out for most of the discussion. And I guess just to kind of add to, or I guess just to the concerns about the, I guess, like incompatibility of the style that's chosen for the house with the existing like historic buildings within the district. I mean, it does seem, in terms of the design, like well thought out, a really nice example of a new kind of neo-colonial revival. I don't know, once you get into the...
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do share Commissioner Smith's concerns about the fact that, I mean, I almost feel like if you have a new construction in a historic district, this is just me, the house should be kind of inconspicuous. It shouldn't be kind of calling attention to itself. It shouldn't be overpowering in terms of style, the historic kind of houses around or in the kind of surrounds.
Yeah.
And I feel like this really almost as a ersatz historic style, it's really calling attention to itself. If it was just kind of a modern, clean, stripped down house of its time, I think. But just having that kind of strong, kind of bold statement of that particular style, I think it's definitely, I question the kind of compatibility of the overall design.
Right, okay, it clearly is, that's the key. In the staff report, it says, this is just word for word from the staff report, the Historic District Commission must determine whether the proposed new house is compatible with adjacent historic structures and the surrounding neighborhood. This includes, and this was read already, but, it's the size of the building, massing, height, width, placement on the lot, design, roof form, fenestration, porches, and then that word texture, that was, I think that's kind of, all of those things together are what you're talking about, it seems like.
Right.
And specifically, you bring up some interesting points because it's like, I think that I'm struggling with, it's very specific in the design.
Right.
And it is it seems like a very well-detailed version of this type of house.
Sure.
And it's hard to knock it down for that. I feel like I'm saying that as like a negative or something, but isn't that kind of what we want in the Old West Side, or is it because it is highly detailed? I guess if those details are appropriate, then it's fine. But if those details are not appropriate, then it's not fine.
Right.
So that's what we have to determine here tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a few thoughts on the table. Do you guys want to share kind of what you're feeling and?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what's been said. I do feel like looking at it, it's kind of large and in charge. It takes up a lot of that lot. It's super open right now. One question I had just in terms of that is, was there ever a building on this lot? Or since inception, it's just been open? So that's interesting, because I just think when you're looking at it, I walked past today, and it's kind of remained an open plain. So in terms of are we losing trees? Are we losing some of the sense of that space as it is now? I think that's in your favor. It's already been sort of a blank space waiting for something to be there. Mm-hmm. So then the question is, this is quite something that's going in there. It has a really strong point of view. It's a very particular style you're choosing, and it has pretty grand scale. When we were looking at the beginning of the presentation, there was a view from 7th that I was sort of curious to come back to, because it's sort of a weird block. It's a small block, and you do have some really small houses and some bigger houses, and including on 7th. So you have that tiny house next to a house that's just been really nicely fixed up. And it looked like, at least from that photo, your design might fall somewhere in that gap. So even if we're just thinking about, again, like this come up before, I think with us in the last few months, like kind of maintaining some of the, like, I call it like the filigree, like sort of those views in between homes, how is that impacting it? And I think that dovetails with the imperviousness, if we think about how that hits the ground. But then I think just like to kind of add to the conversation or agree with what's been said, I think if we think of these neighborhoods as a sort of storytelling, the Old West Side is a lot of similar homes because they're built at the same time for similar purposes of similar groups of people. So this is speaking in that historic language and kind of adding to the story. So it's doing what we're asking. It's differentiating, right? It's like, this is new. It's out of character in some ways, but it's very in character because it's very historically grounded. And I do appreciate the detailing in the house, like that it really references that visual language and vernacular really nicely, and that you guys are open to adjusting the windows so that they have that texture and sort of reality. So I think it's just like an interesting question if we are looking at something that's like, yeah, you're nailing it in terms of, differentiating, but also fitting into a historical context, but how does it fit into the site? I think just because of the scale a little bit. And I guess on that regard, I appreciate that you have set it back, because I think from the pedestrian experience, like walking down that street, the house, as sort of large as it is, will recede, even though it's up that slope. So I think if you had brought it forward, it would feel really, really imposing and therefore kind of modern and incongruous. So those are my thoughts. Not really adding any.
That was helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Commissioner Carter, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think I agree with everything that's been said, and I've been trying to think about all of these various points. The house itself, I think the part of the massing that I'm having a hard time with is that the house is connected to the garage, and that's not common in historic districts, that you don't have some kind of separation. And that view from 7th, we deliberately walked over there just to see what it would be, and that is what you're going to see there is the back of that garage. I agree with everything about the design. I think, it's really thoughtful. I think the setback is great. But yeah, I think I'm struggling with some of the same things that have already been brought up here. And the comment that Commissioner Smith had about imperviousness is also on my mind. Just with asphalt and even the flagstone, that's not going to be a pervious area, and
Well, at this point, we should go to the standards, because I think, Commissioner Calderon, do you have anything to add? And do you want to?
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Still
Good. Yeah. So, Mariana, do you have any standards in mind that can kind of help us with, what I'm hearing is that this house, I think by the nature of just being new construction, it's differentiated. I mean, it could have completely mimicked the next door home or something like that, and then we would obviously be talking about something different. But clearly with this, like just a really well-executed design, it is differentiated. Now, is it compatible? We've kind of gone the other way where, like you said, ersatz historic, it's like, are we there, or is it just a really well-detailed, eclectic, mix of designs that we have on the Old West Side? And yes, there's not a neo-colonial like right next to it, but Huron for sure. And then if you go across Huron, I mean, that's not the neighborhood, but there's plenty of, this example, I mean, a lot. So like, are we close enough, and so is there a good, hone us in on a standard we can hang our hat on here, and if it takes a second, that's fine, but or if anyone has one to read, I mean, at this point, that's kind of all we can do is kind of just check the standards and then, make a decision. So it probably would be neighborhood setting or something like that?
Yeah, I think that what a lot of your discussion is building site and neighborhood setting. And I'll also just take us back, I think, to the Secretary of the Interior standards. New additions, exterior alteration, this is number 9. New additions, exterior alterations, or related new construction shall not destroy historic materials that characterize the property. The new work shall be differentiated from the old and shall be compatible with the massing, size, scale, and architectural features to protect the historic integrity of the property and its environment. And then I'll also do 10. New additions and adjacent or related new construction shall be undertaken in such a manner that if removed in the future, the essential form and integrity of the historic property and its environment would be unimpaired.
Yeah, no issue there.
Building site, this is from the Secretary of the Interior. So it's recommended to retain historic relationship between buildings, landscape features, and open space. I think, at the risk of just repeating, it's not recommended to introduce new construction onto the site, which is visually incompatible in terms of size, scale, design, materials, color, and texture, or which destroys historic relationships on site. So I think I'm hearing a lot about historic relationships between the site and the new construction, and maybe also about the district and new construction, which is what we're supposed to be talking about.
Okay. Well, that's something that we should all think about is, does it destroy the historic relationship on the site or does it not? Yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
Dave, for me,
Yeah.
in thinking about the spatial relationship, the house to the rest of the lot and the percentage of impervious, I can think of a lot of like really small landlocked parcels that are really entirely built out, but they've got gravel driveways, they've got a little bit of open space in a rear yard or a side yard to kind of create that pattern in between houses that I think maybe we're lacking here. I think maybe one of the things, and I don't want to tell you how to design your project, but,
Right.
if it were a gravel driveway, it might help it might make it feel less fully built out. And I think that's my concern is that this whole site is going to be built out flagstone driveway.
But the driveway, a lot of that driveway is existing.
Yeah.
So.
But it's existing,
It's-
isn't it gravel existing?
Yes.
Yeah. And I know, I have a gravel driveway. I know what a pain in the ass it is right now, it's,
Yeah.
it's challenging, but I do think having a 2-car garage is something that we don't see a whole lot of on the old west side. We see some.
Yeah.
And it is back behind everything. So I really appreciate that attention to the design. I'm just trying to, in my mind, get to a point, like what small design alterations could we do to make that relationship between the building and the lot feel less like the whole thing is a building?
Yeah, I wonder if there are any small, because this
Yeah.
design is so well thought out.
Yeah.
It's really been through all the iterations where everything kind of fits together. So I doubt there, nothing's popping out as like, oh,
Right.
just get rid of that or something,
If
or
I
add this or
thought
something.
a
yeah.
gravel driveway was the answer, I would have said it a half an hour ago.
Right. For me, what I'm hearing you there, but I think that, there could have been a whole nother driveway to get to this other
Yeah,
house.
and that I
would've
think
been,
I would have objected to.
Right. Although, a house needs a driveway, so.
We go back to the 808 West Washington discussion when they came the first time.
Yeah.
And they wanted to extend that driveway, and I voted against it. I didn't think it was necessary to have a driveway to their garage ADU and an extended driveway behind for, additional car storage. So, I don't have a problem with, the corner house losing
Yeah.
that parking
Yeah.
space or any of that.
You
It's-
don't even have to vote against their driveway. They
Yeah.
got rid of it themselves. So
Right.
you're good there. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I think that the thing for me is, how do we, and I don't know that there's an answer to it. I don't know that we can reconcile this.
I think for new construction, what people are going to want is they're going to want aging in place. So you have a master
Right.
bedroom on the first floor.
Yeah.
So that, and plus master bathroom. They don't have a powder room on their
Right.
first floor. It's like they really.
Yeah.
It feels like, I mean, the garage feels big. The garage is way in the back, so I'm not so worried about the garage. Okay, Grace, I see you have your hand up, and we will, I just noticed that. Sorry, I don't know how long it's been there, probably 10 minutes, but I just noticed, so we will get to you. But just to finish that thought, I don't have it anymore, actually, so.
I have a question.
Yeah, we're going to get to you in a second, Grace, but hold on.
Once again, I apologize, I might have missed this, but, once again, not trying to design, certainly not criticizing the design because, like we've all said here, it is a really well thought out, really beautifully detailed design. But I guess just getting back to even the question of, was there kind of in the development of the design, like looking at the existing context and like looking at the existing houses within the historic district, and then, okay, let's sit down at the table and think about pulling together a design that's contextual, or was it just kind of like, this is what I want?
It sounds like it was
Drop
the
it in
latter.
there. Okay, got you.
But,
Not that there's,
right,
yeah, I'm just trying to
the
understand.
applicant really likes this style of house
I
and
got
wants this style of house.
I got you.
And the hope is that it's compatible,
got
with the district. And I mean, as I'm thinking of it now, I mean, I know, like, even as you go further down Washington Street, there's new construction, like, right there, another block away that, is sort of like this style. But it's
Okay.
out of the district, I think. But-
And Dave, I think
Yeah.
you made a really important point that we often don't think about because it's not a historic district, but if you go right across Huron, there are all sorts of houses in this style.
Yes.
Right.
Very good.
Okay.
Okay, a lot of good discussion here. I would like to hear from Grace because we've brought up a lot of talking points, and let's just please keep it as brief as you can, Grace. But you'll have the floor right now if we can figure out how to unmute you. There you go. Okay.
Okay,
We
you
hear
can
you.
hear me. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, I just wanted to address the style and how this house fits in contextually with the neighborhood and the other houses. And that was the real challenge because there's no prescription, right? And it is the goal to differentiate the house, yet have it blend in a way. So we were always trying to keep that in mind and be as respectful as possible with the history of the neighborhood. So that was our objective with aesthetically how the house was designed. As far as the impervious surface, I think it's a little misleading looking at the site plan. I think if this is a site where you would have to walk around and understand that you would not see all this hard surface, right? This impervious surface, especially from the sidewalk. And as far as the driveway, it's well hidden. It's something that you wouldn't really see, and there's quite a bit of green space north of the existing preschool for the kids to play, and especially between the existing house and the new house. So I just wanted to add that.
Thank you very much, Grace. Appreciate that. I mean, yeah. Okay. So we've discussed. Does anyone have any last comments? I guess what I'm hearing from the commission right now is like, this is not the perfect application where it's just like, oh, obviously, this is a slam dunk. It's also not an application that has done anything, so egregious that it's just easy to just deny it outright. And I'm glad we're taking the time here, because like I said, to kick this off, it's like, these opportunities are few and far between for new construction in the district here. I guess we've said this is what we have here is a very thoughtfully designed proposal. And so, I guess where I'm landing is like, I'm leaning into like the eclecticism of the Old West Side and just saying that, it's definitely taking some, it's a historic house, it's taking a historic design. The details are there, but there are examples of this type of house. It's not like completely out of place. There's examples of it. It's maybe not the one that all of us would have like chosen from all the eclectic designs on the Old West Side and said, yes, let's put another one of those there. But this is the proposal. And so that's, I feel like I'm leaning towards supporting it in that way. And so I'd be curious if how are other people feeling and like, where are you leaning and what?
I mean, it's hard for me to ever not support additional housing in this city.
Yes.
And given that this is, has been approached thoughtfully, I try to take my aesthetic take out of it. And it's exactly like you said, is I wouldn't have picked this, but it's not my job to do that.
Right.
And, I think it's, I don't feel that it will harm the integrity of the district or the neighborhood.
Okay, well, that's what the standards are saying, so, yeah, that's an appropriate comment right there, so that's helpful for all of us to hear. Commissioner Ross, do you want to circle back and state where you're feeling, and then see if anyone else has any comments?
I guess it's hard to like you had said, since it is so well designed, so thoughtfully designed, ultimately in a historic district, I don't know. I mean, ideally you want to see a house in 100 years or 50 years. That's new construction that, ideally in 50 years, it's going to be something that we won't be around, or at least I won't, given my age. But folks sitting here in 50 years look back at this house and it's like, wow, that's a really good representative of its time. It's gained some sort of historic significance, and it helps if it's a well-designed, quality house, right? So, I do, so I'm a little torn. So I still haven't made up my mind yet.
Right, yeah.
But I do, just like in a general sense, I think of historic districts as ultimately places where, especially with new construction, ultimately you want I don't know. Ultimately, or ideally, at least in 50 years or so, I don't know, like I said, in the future, people are going to look back on this new construction and look at it as like, okay, mark of its time, quality construction.
So what I'm hearing you saying is this is a very thoughtfully designed house, but in your like if I said and if Chip said maybe this wasn't the design we would have chosen or something, but we're putting that aside. What it sounds like you're saying is like it's a bit of a missed opportunity where yes, this is fine, but it sounds like you're wishing that it just was like more of a marker of a reflection of the Old West Side district or something, in a way that it kind of isn't. It's kind of tangential to the Old West Side, but it doesn't hit the bullseye.
Yeah,
but
I don't feel like it's contextually sensitive. That's just what I feel.
Right, okay.
But then it's hard to vote against it because of the fact that it is so well designed.
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm landing. I don't think it's really meeting the standards because of I don't think it's compatible, in my opinion.
Okay.
That's, yes.
So you've come around to
It's compatible in quality,
yeah.
but just the straight up design, no, I don't think it is.
Can you articulate that more? Like
Just
what-
once again, I mean, just like it's a side gable house, you don't see a lot, I mean,
Yeah.
just generally surrounding their front gable. Once again, the style, the colonial revival style situation is just in the near vicinity within the district. It's just not
Yeah.
contextual in that manner,
Okay. Fair.
or contextually sensitive in that manner.
Okay.
Um,
I think that's a good opinion to hear, so I think we've heard a lot, and it'd be great to hear more if you have more to say, so.
I think I'm in a similar boat to Commissioner Ross. I'm sort of on the fence, and I think the thing that it's more about the massing of it that feels not compatible with the context to me. Especially when you look at the plan and you see it's not just the house, not just the garage behind it, but with the addition behind the preschool, you're sort of closing in that view shed a little bit. And so that is going to feel very different and also very much like a wall, where I feel like there's just more perforations currently in the district.
Yeah, I'm nodding my head because I'm agreeing, and I feel like I think my concern, if I had to narrow it down to like how does this fit in, is the massing, I think. And I think maybe specifically, I think like what's done well is that I think a lot of that will be hidden from the view on Washington. So it's like you won't have a sense of how deep the house is, but you'll maybe see it on 8th and also on 7th. So it kind of interrupts that like filigree, that openness. It does kind of feel like then the center of the block is just like packed in. So I guess if I were like, again, not designing, but I feel like if there was a way to make it, feel like that rear addition, the garage was smaller or sort of filled up less of that space, especially in conjunction with the addition to the preschool, I feel like I would have an easier time just being like, yeah, this is great because you're adding your own narrative to this place, like visually. You're speaking the language, the historical language. I like that. I think that's in keeping. And so I think it's just a question for me of the massing and how it impacts the rest of the area. So I think maybe it's that garage and the connection of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very good. So I think if massing is the issue, I think that first of all, I think that this is an empty lot. There should be a house, like there can be a house there. I think that that's like okay, in my opinion. It kind of looks like there should be a house there when you're over there. And so there could have been a historic home there, there wasn't. So this is new construction. It's big. But I do think that because of the fact that it's smushed up against the house right next to it, and that house is very far forward, the east side massing, you're not really going to see. And then on the west side, you have a one-story bump out that's to the front of the house. So when you're looking at it, you'll see the colonial revival kind of front with the porch, and you'll see the bump out. But I don't think you'll see much behind that one-story bump out because it's so far back. So I think that the massing, in my opinion, is not what, if something was holding me back, it wouldn't necessarily be the massing. But that's just as a, to kind of keep the discussion rolling, I guess. So it sounds like we kind of have two issues, or maybe more than two issues, but we have at least two issues. One group is, it's just the massing, something with the massing, it's not feeling compatible. And then another group is where it's, because of the design, it's like it's definitely not a bullseye in terms of what this could have been, but the question is it hitting is it hitting anywhere on the target and can be approved, or is it a complete miss because of these very strong neocolonial, details? Okay, so that, none of that doesn't necessarily mean anyone's decided how they're voting, but we've all, talked about issues. Let's go back through here. So, Chip, are you set? You've said what you need to say,
Yep,
and
I'm
okay.
good.
Commissioner Ross, what about you? Have you?
I'm sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Down here, we good? Or do you want to talk through it some more? Or you feel like you know how you're gonna go here? If you haven't decided, tell us where you're hung up, and,
Yeah.
and we can talk through it.
I don't know where this falls.
Yeah.
But I do agree with Commissioner Smith that like something that's pushing me towards saying yes, even with all those hesitations, is I think it's important to make the historic district a livable place for people who are already there, who want to age in place, and for people who want to be a part of it and live there, in modern ways. So I feel like that's what is driving some of the design of this house, is that you're anticipating will be on the first floor. And you see that a lot in the Old West Side, that people in the historic districts, people are going, how can I stay in my house? And it's built to be moving up and down. And so I see this house answering that question for you. And I feel like I want to say yes in that regard, because I feel like I want people to feel like these neighborhoods are modern while being historical. So I might be pushing myself more towards yes, but I think I'm still wanting this house to feel a little I don't know, I guess it would feel maybe a little more reverential to the site and the environment if there was maybe just a break between the house and the outbuilding, or more of a hyphen or something. So, but that's me designing, so I don't think I'm allowed to do that. But I think that is my brain kind of going, is there a way to just make those little tweaks so that it's eclectic, it's different, it's historical, it's answering a lot of good questions for the neighborhood, for yourselves. So sure. So I'm edging towards yes, but with some reservations in that question of design.
Okay. Well, we've come around to it. We've hit the standards. We've come back around. We've discussed. So I think we have to vote, unless if someone wants to have one other comment, I'll allow it. But no. Okay. We're going to vote. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
You might need a roll call.
We will. All those opposed. Do you do the roll call before you go to no? Okay, so how many yeses was that? That was, okay. Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Calderon, Commissioner Rockland. Okay, Commissioner, we don't need the roll call. Okay, and Commissioner Carter. Okay.
Sorry.
I thought I only heard 3. Okay, and then all those opposed, please say no.
No.
Yeah. Okay. The application has been approved. The motion's been approved and the application's been approved. So, yeah, the next step would be just to, once you get through all the other stuff, if you do really make sure that that the permit is matching, what's in the application here and all of that. I know you got a ways to go before that, but thank you for your time tonight. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Grace. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you all.
Okay. Well, that was some great discussion, but now we'll move on.
That was a lot.
Yes, thank you. We'll move on to new business, and there isn't any new business on the agenda tonight, so we'll go to minutes. We had December's minutes in the packet, so unless I hear any comments, it looks like hearing and seeing no objection, the minutes are approved as presented. Thank you, as always, to Brittany Alexander from the city for providing the agenda and the minutes for this evening, so thank you so much. Brittany joined us on the review committee this week, so that was exciting. Okay, the next step on the agenda is reports from commissioners, and we do have a report this evening, so I'll hand the floor over to Commissioner Nesbitt.
Is this my book report?
Yes.
Great. Okay, great. This is the book report section of our meeting. I just wanted to share this wonderful book that was gifted to me over the holidays, A Field Guide to American Houses, the definitive guide to identifying and understanding America's domestic architecture. It is really, really detailed, and I think was really relevant to our conversation tonight. I looked up all the different styles that were referenced in that building, and sort of it helped me situate it chronologically and stylistically and know what hallmarks we should be looking at, and things like, looking at the windows. How important is that little detail of the muttons? Pretty important, it turns out, for this building style. So to everyone watching at home,
Yes, recommended.
I highly recommend this to just learn a little bit more about the visual vernacular that we live in this lovely town and country. So that's my hot recommendation.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for that report, Commissioner Nisbet. Much appreciated, and that looks like a cool book, and it looks like there's lots of photos, which is nice.
Lots of drawings
Yeah,
and
that's
photos
always
and
good.
references. Very helpful.
Yep. Great. Okay. Any other reports this month? No? Okay. Let's move on. Assignments. We've got a noon review committee on February 9th. Get out your phones. And the meeting is February 12th. So this would also be a decent time to let us know.
I will not
Yeah.
be there.
Okay. Now, if Commissioner Kaplan were here, he might be interested in volunteering, but he's not.
So he's volunteering.
That's so funny. I believe he said he was gone next month as well, right?
Did he?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could probably do it if there's no other people who want to do it.
I could do it too.
Okay. Well, can you ask? Oh, what?
I could do it too.
Okay. So
Yeah.
why don't you do it then? Because, yeah, great.
Great.
So, Carter and his back.
Yes, please. Thank you both. Okay. Are there reports from staff this month, Mariana? Very good. Any concerns of commissioners? Not seeing any. Were there any communications this month? Okay, very good. Then we shall adjourn the January 8th, 2026 meeting of the HDC at 8:58 PM.